You're listening to Cinema IRL, the podcast that throws you into the movie and asks the question, what would you do? Get ready for a wild ride as Amber and Scott dive into friendship, drama, and the kind of wedding you wouldn't RSVP to in the Fabulous Four. No, you can't bring a +1. And now, Cinema IRL.
I wish I could switch places for just one day.
You find yourself in the unique position.
What would you do?
Put yourself in my shoes.
How do we handle this?
What would you do?
What would you do?
How do you want to handle this?
What would you do?
Put yourself in my position.
What would you do?
Now it's your turn.
So Bette Midler is a TikTok queen.
Yeah, I didn't see that one coming.
This week we are talking about The Fabulous Four. The film follows three lifelong friends who travel to Key West, Florida to be bridesmaids in a surprise wedding of their college girlfriend, Marilyn. Once their sisterhoods are rekindled, the past rises up again in all its glory, and there are enough sparks, strength, and romance to charge all of their lives in ways they never expected. Dun, dun, dun.
I mean, this movie is ridiculously formulaic, but I like the formula.
Yeah, it was an easy-to-watch summer flick.
Yeah, exactly. And, I mean, it's just one of those, like, kind of excuse to get some of the top-tier actresses together. And
Yeah, you definitely had Bette Midler and Susan Sarandon, and then Megan Mullally from Will and Grace, and Cheryl Lee Ralph from Abbott Elementary.
yeah, no, I mean, I liked the cast. It was fun.
It was just an easy sit there on a summer afternoon and just take it in and not have to think hard kind of a movie. So for our purposes of what we do here and what would you do, the premise that was really the foundation for the film was one of the characters, Lou, had been seeing this guy when they were somewhere in their 20s. We're not really quite sure.
College-ish.
Yeah, post around there. And she had organized for all of the two of them and her girlfriends to go to a music festival. And at the last minute, she couldn't go. She had to work at the hospital because she was doing her residency. And on this trip, her best friend, Marilyn, played by Bette Midler, kind of
Jacked her boyfriend.
Yeah, I was trying to find the right word there. I was
Jacked
hesitating.
is the one I'm going to use.
Kind of like, oh, gee, you're special. And from that point forward, Lou was not in that relationship. And in 6 months, Marilyn and Lou's guy got married. And they had been married for 46 years.
Yeah, 48, something like that.
Yeah, so it's not like, they got together and it was this fling and then had this destroyed friendship. The relationship did last until the husband passed away after 48 years of marriage.
Yeah, here's the question. How much does that really matter?
It's funny because in some respects, it kind of does play a role in that, because if you were going to destroy a friendship, it would be good to know that it was for a 48-year marriage, that actually maybe you guys were meant to be together opposed to a 6-month fling.
I mean, sure, yes. It definitely makes it better, but I don't know that it makes it okay.
Yeah, I agree. And so initially we follow the characters, and Lou is disgruntled after all these years over what happened. And she's also equally disgruntled that, number one, Marilyn never apologized. And that later in the film, we learn that not only is Lou upset about that, but she's also upset that she lost Marilyn as a friend.
Yeah.
Because not only did she lose her boyfriend in that scenario, she lost her best friend. Because how can you be able to be, oh, gee, I couldn't go to this one thing and now I don't have a boyfriend and my best friend is with my boyfriend? That's a lot to swallow.
It is a lot to swallow. Now, see, again, this is we do the what would you do, and sometimes it's a little difficult. Like carrying a grudge for 48 years.
Right.
Like,
that's a long time.
That's as long as I've been alive.
That's a long time to hold
I have no grudges that long. So I'd like to think that you could eventually get over that, especially because, let's be honest, when we're kids, we do stupid stuff. It's what kids do.
Yeah, but they weren't kids. They were young women.
They were under 35. They were kids. Yeah, that's my...
I don't know if anyone under 35 listening to this would agree with you. But
Sorry. I mean, no, really. I mean, we look at brain forming and stuff like that. Like,
it's hard because she obviously liked Lou liked the guy she was dating, and her best friend was her best friend. And when she lost both of them, and throughout the whole rest of her adult life, not having those two people in her life, and yet they were part of a foursome, four fierce female friends, and everyone talked to each other except for Lou and Marilyn didn't, but everyone else kind of stayed in touch. And that also too can put a strain on relationships. So you had the two friends, and they each independently talked to Marilyn, they each independently talked to Lou, but they could not have the four
Yeah, you can't
together.
all hang out together.
Yeah, so they tricked Lou to come to South Florida to Marilyn's wedding, and chaos ensued.
Yeah. See, it's weird. I don't approve of the trickery. I don't. I get.
I thought Lou was really forgiving for a woman who can hold a grudge for nearly 50 years. I thought she was very forgiving about the trickery. I was surprised.
Yeah.
Because she flew all the way to Florida thinking she won a contest. She had seems like an unhealthy obsession with peridactyl cats, six-fingered, six-toed cats. And she thought she had won a cat with an extra digit from the Hemingway House, yes.
Yeah. Listen, there's definitely inconsistencies in this movie as far as the way people are going to behave. I think sometimes she overreacted, sometimes she underreacted, and for a character that was put out there as being fairly level.
Lou, the doctor.
Yeah. Her actions felt anything but at times level. But yeah, see,
it goes to the complexity of relationships, where we all draw the line and the grudges that we hold. I mean, I know I had two girlfriends in college, and I went to visit one like 6 months after graduation, and the visit just didn't go well. And I was okay with letting that relationship go. And I kind of didn't keep in touch with the other person either. But I could talk to the other person, but I didn't really talk to the other person. So sometimes, it creates weird dynamics. And, I think we make different decisions at different stages in our lives. I would like to think now I would absolutely handle things differently, but relationships are hard.
I have quite a few childhood friends who I'm still friends with and still, maybe not every day or anything like that, but I talk to regularly and I still would consider
You're
my
connected
friends.
with a lot of those folks on Facebook, right?
What?
You're connected with some of those folks on Facebook, right?
Oh, yeah, quite a few of them.
Makes it easy. So much easier to maintain relationships now in this world than it used to be.
It really is.
You used to have to write a letter or make a very expensive long distance call.
I've also lost childhood friends, some because they chose to end the friendship and some because I chose to end the friendship. And I'll tell you, they actually still both hurt. Like, even if you choose to end one of those friendships, I ended a friendship with a guy over politics. Well, it's not really over politics. It was because he talked about me behind my back to someone he thought was loyal to him and wasn't. Right. But, that still hurt.
Yeah.
Because, I liked having that person in my life. And as you get older, let me tell you, good people coming into your life become few and far in between.
Yeah, it's harder to make good adult friendships as you get older in life. When you're younger and you're in these common scenarios where you have a common environment or common experiences like high school or college, you just have that natural bonding. And when you're thrust out into the world, if you discount the notion of work friends, and sometimes work friends could be real friends, and sometimes work friends are just work friends.
Sometimes, yeah.
But you have to intentionally do things to make new friends.
Yeah, listen, on what would I do if I'm somebody that's college, high school, middle, anything, any school still thing? Don't discount those friendships. Foster them as much as possible, because they could become some of your best friendships later. And if you don't, you might end up in a situation where you're like, I have no friends.
Well, I guess I can see both sides of that, because I know I'm not even close to the person I was when I was in an academic setting, whether that be high school or college. So I could potentially be friends with a lot of people that I have nothing in common with. So how valuable or how rewarding is that to just have superficial relationships with people that you just have a common history with?
Well,
And again, that's just for me. I know that that can completely work for other people, but like I don't need to be stuck in the nostalgia of remember when we went to the football game in 10th grade. It's like I am such a different person.
Yeah, I mean, and here's the thing: you can let them go if you.
And
if
there's
you,
a time and a place like reunions or even a certain Facebook post or whatever. I'm not saying it's not.
Yeah,
ever.
I mean, I've certainly let friendships go that I've gone too far apart from the person on. I mean, I guess it's a happy medium. You don't discount the value of those friendships and think I can just make more friends later.
That's true. That's true. And also, in today's world with social media, and you just know things about people you didn't used to know. You could have a friend for 50 years and never know how they voted. Like, that's how it was when my mom was growing up. You didn't talk about religion. You didn't talk about politics. And you could be friends with someone who was your extreme opposite in politics, but you didn't talk about it, so you never had that conflict.
Well, here's the thing. I mean, I used to be very politically active on my college campus. I did have friends that I was polar opposites with. It was okay because we didn't let...
You could disagree back then without being so absolutely blowing up everything volatile like folks are today.
Yeah, exactly. Like there wasn't such hatred and vitriol that exists today. Like we disagreed.
People are empowered when they sit behind a computer or a phone and have a keyboard and are disassociated from the things they're saying to people.
That's extremely true. Yeah. Like I very seldom will type something that I'm not willing to say to your face.
And that's a great way to gauge what we say online is are you willing to actually say this to someone?
Yeah.
And if so, yeah, I think that's a great bar, Scott.
Yeah. If you were going to be sitting across from someone and say this, if you think that they're going to get up and beat the crap out of you for that,
or storm away, or
you probably shouldn't say it.
Yeah, I love that. I definitely think those are words to live by.
So, but continuing though a little on the what would you do, I want to go more into Bette Midler's character,
Marilyn.
Yeah,
Yes.
Marilyn. So, what do you do when you're in that scenario? Like.
And she's the one who took the boyfriend.
Like, listen, there's a saying, the heart wants what the heart wants. And I get that. I've ended up finding myself attracted to people that I knew was going to be trouble, but I just kind of ended up doing it anyway. And usually I was right in the end. But okay, you meet this guy and there is an attraction. There is some chemistry and he's like, obviously, he's flirting back.
Yeah, I mean, we certainly don't know the particulars of what that looked like. We do know later in the film that Marilyn says everyone else was getting ready to move on to their next phase, and they had, education, or they had internships, or they had, their first jobs, or whatever it was, and she didn't have anything, and she hadn't actually graduated, and she was scared to be alone. And so after 48 years, she shares this information. So it's hard to know without seeing any sort of flashbacks how much of it was instant attraction and flirting versus a woman who doesn't see a future and she needs to glom on some degree of certainty.
Yeah, but if it's the latter, pick a different way to glom.
Yeah, exactly. And I know bro code is more of a thing than girl code, but any code, human being code, should be, if number one, just don't be a backstabber, but if for some reason you can't help yourself, have the maturity to have an adult conversation with the people in your life.
Yeah, I don't know. I feel like I mean, they talk about code, but code is a thing. It really is. Like if this person is dating your best friend,
yeah,
I don't care if the thing you want to do most in life is jump his bones right there.
Yeah.
Like you just have to be like, no. Now, if they break up of not your fault whatsoever, then you could go to them and say, hey, listen, I'm really into so-and-so.
Right.
This cool if I try this one and run with it from there. But man, it's
like the golden rule. Do unto others as you would, for them to do unto you.
I mean, I feel like it was pretty inexcusable. If it's just, I don't know. I mean, if it's an acquaintance,
Yeah.
or someone you're kind of friendly with. That's maybe one thing. This is
They
her
were
admitted best friend.
Ride or die friends, like hardcore.
Yeah, no. I mean, I get Lou's long-standing grudge, so.
Yeah, so I guess my takeaway here would be be a good friend and have the maturity just to have hard conversations with folks. Just be a decent human.
We hope you enjoyed our episode. Thank you for listening. And to catch all the new episodes, please subscribe. We release 2 to 3 episodes weekly, so we'll have new content regularly. Until next time.